MacBook Pro. It's finally here, the new and improved MacBook Pro, and it seems to have closed the gap between the Pro line and the competition, and them some. But the MacBook Pro has done so in ways that matter perhaps even more than gigahertz and pixels. This is now Apple's most usable laptop yet. Sure, it's thinner, lighter and more powerful, but the improved keyboard and trackpad set Apple apart in an even bigger way. And that's before we even get to the touch bar, though its mileage may vary. The spankin' new MacBook Pro is available for pre-order right now. As for when you'll get it should you pre-order, that's another story. The 13-inch version, with standard function keys and 2 fewer USB-C ports, will ship the day you pre-order it. However, if you want one of the fancy touch bar versions, that won't begin shipping until 2 to 3 weeks from now. With both launches behind us, with and without the touch bar, we're already beginning to consider the next iteration of MacBook Pro. Despite having just reviewed the most recent MacBook Pro, there's admittedly still room for improvement. Reports have already emerged that a 2017 MacBook Pro refresh is in the works with configurations supporting up to 32 GB of RAM, twice of what is offered now. Moreover, Korean tech source ET News believes the next MacBook Pro could even house a full-fledged OLED display in lieu of its current LCD panels. In the meantime, Apple is supporting the current MacBook Pro quite nicely, even treating it to its own front-page App Store section spotlighting Touch Bar-centric apps. Though Apple was open to the idea of the Touch Bar this year, don't expect a proper touch display anytime soon. In a recent interview, the company exec Phil Schiller called the idea of a touchscreen Mac absurd. At first glance, not much has changed about the MacBook Pro's design. The profile or silhouette generally remains unchanged, save for finally, sadly, losing the illuminated Apple logo on its lid in favor of chrome. Take a closer look though and you'll see that nearly everything has changed. The 13-inch and 15-inch versions of the new MacBook Pro are 17% and 14% thinner than their predecessors, respectively, to the tune of a 14.9mm thin 13-incher and a 15.5mm thin 15-incher. Naturally, with a thinner chassis comes lighter weight. The 13-inch version weighs just 3 pounds, 1.37 kilograms, nearly half a pound lighter than the previous version, while the 15-inch model hits the scale at 4 pounds, 1.83 kilograms, also shaving off nearly half a pound. While Apple wouldn't let you forget it, that makes the 13-inch MacBook Pro now thinner and lighter than the latest, and likely last, MacBook Air, and picking up the device, you can definitely tell. As for the keyboard, Apple claims its second-generation butterfly hinges vastly improve the typing experience from that on the 12-inch MacBook. Having recently taken the latest 12-inch MacBook for a test drive, we can attest to these improvements. Travel is deeper, and feedback upon releasing your fingers from a key is punchier. Frankly, this is what the first iteration of the new MacBook keyboard should have been, of course, that's easy to say. The Force Touch trackpad has also been hugely improved. For one, the thing is damn enormous, twice as spacious as that on the previous model. This is the kind of trackpad we've wanted for a long time on MacBooks, and we finally have it. Plus, activating Force Touch functions, like word lookups, requires much less, well, force than before.